Echoes darkly.
Welcome to Echoes Darkly, number 9. I am DJ Allen, and as you can tell, I am alone, and that is because Sean had homework to do. It's okay, and I didn't get a chance to do the reading, so I upfront apologize for not bringing you how to play Werewolf thematically. I just didn't. Things have been hectic at work, and I didn't want to try to jam something in there that shouldn't have been jammed in there. So, this is my first solo broadcast on Echoes Darkly. Yay. I was going to attempt also to chat live in Yahoo using the comments. However, when I do that, the lag becomes unmanageable, so I just closed Yahoo, so I don't have any way to live chat at the moment. I will figure a way around that eventually, just not at this point. So, I could do that too. Use a second computer or an iPad. But I'll worry about that in the future, instead of trying to do it on a solo podcast. So, I have my little rundown here. I'm a postal employee, so as you can imagine, we are coming into the Christmas season, which means December overall is going to be a fairly hectic month to deal with. I'm not positive I can do the reading for the werewolf in the next 2 weeks either, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I have to get my wife up to speed with a craft show that's coming up soon, so that will also throw a wrench into things, but we will continue as best we can, Sean and I, to provide World of Darkness related information via this podcast instead of just canceling. I would like to podcast. I would like to continue to podcast every other week, whether or not it's just him, just me, whatever. If we absolutely have to cancel, it's probably unavoidable, but we'll do our best not to. So, I have gone forward, and I don't remember if I mentioned it last time, but the actual play game podcast will be Echoes Darkly Theater, and then if we're playing my game, it'll be Echoes Darkly Theater presents Green Team, and if we're playing Sean's, it'll be Echoes Darkly Theater presents Looking Behind. So we'll have the subtitles, and they'll have individual numbers, because when I did the Podcast of Darkness and tried to do the actual play in there, the actual play kind of took over, and the Podcast of Darkness, what I wanted it to be, kind of went to the wayside. And I don't want that to happen with Echoes Darkly, so I want a separate feed for the games. So we haven't decided when that's going to start yet, but it's looking right now to be either a Saturday or a Sunday, most likely in the evening at this point. Nothing has been decided yet, but I've got some feedback. I'm working on the White Wolf forums to get more information from everybody so that we can figure this out. As soon as I have a specific time frame, I will announce the start date of Green Team, and we will live broadcast on that day and at that time when I tell you. And we'll play as long as necessary, so if it ends up being a 2-hour, 3-hour thing, great. I don't really want to go over 3 hours, because what I notice is that the shorter the time, the more everybody wants to get down to gaming, so the crosstalk and stuff like that, I won't have to edit out as much because we'll all be focused with only 3 hours to work with. It's just my thought. If you want to send feedback, it's echoesdarkly@gmail.com. I do have that, and I check it. I haven't gotten anything from it yet, so we'll go from there. I will also be using, as I have mentioned in the past, a brand new YouTube channel to broadcast from, and that is so that Sean can broadcast without me if necessary, and it shows up on the same profile. And he has the username and password at this point. We haven't tried it yet, but I want to start using it in January for Echoes Darkly. And if everything goes the way it's supposed to, let's see here, it should be January 12th that we start using it, in theory. I might try using it at the end of December, also that last weekend in December, just to see, just to get things moving. But we'll get I'll announce it as we get closer. But the new YouTube channel is youtube.com/official lime flavored. And there's no videos up there at this point. There's really nothing you can do there, just so that you know about it in the future. And like I said, I'll warn everybody so that you're not coming here to look for videos in the future. Because like I said, this is my personal YouTube channel, and I'd like to use it for personal things. So I mean, you can certainly remain my friend, but it'll be changing in the near future, January or the very end of December. Other than that, I also announced last time that I would like to start doing a show that alternates with Echoes Darkly. Now, if we do Echoes Darkly Theater on Saturday nights, that will more than likely be what alternates with Echoes Darkly. However, if we do not do it on Saturday nights, what I want to do is what I said before, that's read more of the White Wolf World of Darkness books, and that starts with the World of Darkness line. I kind of got a rough, I'll get to that. I kind of got a rough map out of what I want to do book-wise. I'll basically address a book at a time unless I feel a subject or a book has more than one podcast available in it, and I'll do multiples on that. But I'm tentatively calling that, initially I wanted to call it Echoes Library, and I didn't really like that, so I wanted to do Dark Library, tentatively. And that may change. And if Echoes Darkly Theater does not alternate with Echoes Darkly, then Dark Library will alternate. And if I enjoy doing Dark Library or suddenly come into a gigantic amount of free time, which I don't see happening, I may increase the frequency with which I do Dark Library, but at this point I don't anticipate doing it any more than every other week. And using that reading time every other week, I might also encourage Sean to take one, so maybe we'll be alternating Dark Library every other week. So maybe I'll only have to do one a month. Although I don't know if I want to. We'll get there, but I want to start doing that in the future. And it's at this point, I'm going to be. I think it's going to start on Saturday, February 2nd, and that's as long as Echoes Darkly Theater doesn't alternate. And if Echoes Darkly Theater does alternate, I'll reset the date for Dark Library when I know the exact date of Echoes Darkly Theater. Moving on. For those of you that visit limeflavor.com, first off, thank you. That's where you can get all of the Echoes Darkly podcasts, as well as watching us on YouTube. But limeflavor.com will be getting a new look, and December, since it's my busy time of year, I won't be able to do everything in one night like I would hope to do. But the entire month of December, more or less, is going to be limeflavor.com being redesigned. So you're going to see a drastically different look. I've already chosen the template. I haven't made any graphics or anything for that because I want to make it live, even though it's broken for all intents and purposes, and then slowly build it so it's complete by January when I'm relaunching limeflavor.com into a network, which I have mentioned on this podcast before. That's another thing. Podcast is a word that I'm not going to be using anymore. I believe that podcasting is associated too closely with audio only, and I don't like using the term video podcast because then it sounds stupid. So following along with Twit, which is at twit.tv, I'm going to be using the term netcast because it's got a vaguer meaning and it can encompass both audio and video, which I believe will benefit me as a network in the end. So in January, well, starting now, actually, I'm going to start saying netcasts from here on out. So get used to that, and hopefully you don't mind the term. I will also have a set that I have access to. It's an extra room in our house, and I'm slowly cleaning it. It's not ready yet, but I would like to do all of my netcasting from there. So what you see behind me right now will disappear, and it will have the new background, which, surprise, it'll be bright green. And yes, there is a room in my house that is bright green. I may post a video of it just to show you what it looks like now. We'll worry about that in the future. Alrighty. Echoes Darkly 10 will be December 1st at the normal time, and we will be discussing Werewolf the Forsaken thematically playing. Now, if for some reason Sean can't make it again, I'll do it by myself. If for some reason I can't make it, or we have to go late, I want to be there because I really want to get into Werewolf, the only New World of Darkness game that I have any information on or did any research on. Well, I have two of them, and that's Vampire the Requiem, and I did a little reading on Mage the Awakening for the Podcast of Darkness in 2007. But, I mean, that's old information, and I was a big Werewolf the Apocalypse fan, so I'd like to get into that. So, December 1st at 2100 Central Time, which is basically what you're watching me now at Central Time, 2112 at this very moment. We will do the thematically playing Werewolf the Forsaken, or I will. And if Sean can't make it again, I'll drag one of the players in if they're willing. Wink, wink, Kevin. Anyway, I don't currently have any drive-through RPG codes yet. I don't know why. I don't know if I've missed a step or something. I'm going to go back through the emails tomorrow and figure out and contact drive-through RPG to figure out what's going on. I've also learned that I'm pronouncing Matt McElroy's last name incorrectly. I was saying McElroy. It's McElroy. So, and he's the one that I'm in contact with at the Drive-Thru RPG store right now. So I'll figure out what's going on with that. I don't know if there's something, like I said, if I missed it or if I should be doing something more active. I'll find out tomorrow. And hopefully by the next podcast, by the next netcast, I will have more information for you on that. Speaking of that, and netcasts, well, netcasts specifically, I said last time that there was one more piece of information I had, and that if I remembered it, we kind of went on, and if I remembered it, I would bring it up. Well, I remembered it the instant I stopped broadcasting last time. Imagine that. That was that I had promised to edit video for Echoes Darkly 7, because this is 9. I didn't have any time to edit video. It just happened that way. I would need to make an introductory video animation to go along with the music, otherwise it's just a static screen, and I don't want that. Plus, I didn't have any chance to play around with zooming in on just one person, because, I mean, as you see with the Google Hangout, I'm in this box, and then down below, there's me, and when Sean is here too, there's two of us. So I wanted to kind of zoom in to just this box because whoever's actively talking is normally the one that it's zoomed in on, and I didn't know how bad the video would look. So I wanted to edit a little bit. I didn't get a chance. I still do plan on doing some sort of video editing for Echoes Darkly. I don't have a set date for that. I'm going to toy around with an episode or two before going forward with routinely doing it, because if concentrating on this little space here doesn't work, what I want to do is just do just put the video up with an opening and go from there. So we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Now, things that I wanted to run by you as the viewers / listeners about possibly adding to the podcast. I'm going to have a hard time getting used to this. I've been saying podcast for so long. Things I have thought about adding to the netcast that I would like to run by you, because if there's an actual market for it, then I would like to be able to provide it. And is there a market or desire for creating story hooks for you on Echoes Darkly? That's as simple as it's not. It's kind of like the Secret Frequency thing where they tell you a story about something on Darker Days Radio, but more just coming up with specific hooks. Nothing super elaborate, just something to get your players involved, or for you as a player to suggest to your ST, or maybe to get you into storytelling to go from there. How about instead of story hooks, maybe you want rule hacks? That would be a little bit harder to come up with, as we'd have to work on it a little bit harder, but I wanted to give that as an option. So I'd like you to let me know what you think about that. And you can tell me at echoesdarkly@gmail.com. No spaces. The guinea pig's getting up. That's where I'll get all the information from and tabulate it. If one person emails me and says that they want that, the story hooks thing, I will start doing the story hooks thing until somebody tells me to stop. So, I mean, if only one person responds, one person's the majority, period, win. And I wanted to briefly go over how the Podcast of Darkness became Echoes Darkly instead of just becoming the Podcast of Darkness Phase 2, or New Podcast of Darkness. When I started the Podcast of Darkness in 2006 with Aaron and Robert, Aaron is my wife's cousin, and Robert is a friend of mine for a long time. Those two weren't necessarily friends, and as time went on, they kind of became less enchanted with each other. But the original intent was to go through Vampire the Requiem, dig deep into that, and then move on to what we were going to do is Mage the Awakening, and from there we would have probably jumped to Werewolf the Forsaken, maybe Geist at this point. Aaron was very anti-Promethean. Robert wasn't very into Promethean either, and to be honest with you, I wasn't at the time either, and I'm only slightly more into it than I was at the time. But I wanted to dive into the books to give more information specifically on game lines, doing something that I wasn't hearing on podcasts at the time. So when I was re-releasing all of the Podcast of Darkness on the limeflavor.com feed, which I don't even know is active anymore or not because I haven't been paying attention to it. Once I released them all again, I thought that I wanted to redo the Podcast of Darkness. And as I was looking for co-host, I came up with some options. Matt McElroy said that he might be able to pop in now and then, and hopefully he still can. If you're watching or listening, still a good idea. But Sean, Arcane Watcher on the White Wolf forums, had said that he was interested in doing it. We had never met, never talked before, and we got together, I think the week before or a couple days before we actually met for the first time on camera, and that the Echoes Darkly 1 is us meeting for the first time. So that's you caught us there for the actual first meeting. So we haven't physically met. It's possible that we'll meet in the future. I don't know. We'll go from there. But once we came out with that, the intent was to kind of continue. I wanted to continue doing what I intended to do with the Podcast of Darkness. So with the new Echoes Darkly netcasts, caught myself, I wanted to dive into the books. Well, with Sean came a second perspective, and we kind of molded ourselves into what we are now. And so what I wanted to do with the Dark Library is do the books thing specifically, and maybe we'll intersperse Echoes Darkly in with that also. But I wanted to create a netcast that was happening. I don't know how often Darker Days Radio comes out, and I'm sure it's a scheduling issue with the guys, and they do a great job, and the podcast is always long and very informational, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And when it pops up in my Downcast app on my iPhone, I am quite happy to make sure it's near the top of the list so I can listen to it right away. But I wanted to do something that's a little bit more often than that, because I know that for my job, I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I would like to also create a feed that comes out often enough for others to listen to fairly often. As far as RPG podcasts are concerned, I listen to Darker Days Radio. I also listen to Fear the Boot. I have Sharkbone. And if you are looking for story ideas, Sharkbone is perfect for that. I wholeheartedly recommend them. I have started listening to Gamer's Table because of their recent Star Wars Saga Edition actual play, The Power of the Dark Side, which ended. I believe it's only 7 episodes. Very entertaining. I also listen to I think. Well, I just picked up a couple of new podcasts here recently, but those are the main ones. And like I said, I'm positive Darker Days is a scheduling issue. So I mean, there's no nothing bad on them. I understand you guys are busy. I know I'm busy. I try to do it more often than I am assume monthly at this point. But we'll see. And I didn't want to do seasons either with Echoes Darkly. So as a netcast, I wanted to make sure that I'm doing a continuous thing, and if I'm missing, it's a planned thing if possible. So there may be scheduled weeks off in the future, or maybe I'll schedule time off and Sean will keep doing them. We'll figure that out as we go. And eventually, I'd like to stop doing them bi-weekly and start doing them weekly, which would change things for the Dark Echoes Darkly Theater and the Dark Library. But that was kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And the reason I'm explaining this is so that I had something more than just a bunch of info points for you, and so that you would understand why I'm interested in doing this, because I like to role play, although I haven't had an opportunity to do it anytime recently, more recently than last year, when we finished up Dark Green, and I attempted to keep Dark Green going with a new group, and quickly realized that was probably not a great idea. I tried. But I want to thank you for joining me on this netcast here on YouTube, and soon on your podcatcher feeds. This is I guess I get all my podcasts and netcasts because I listen to Twit on through Downcast or iTunes, but that's where I get all mine. But thank you for listening and or watching. I don't know if this is going to turn out to be a video feed episode or not with just me. I'd like to try one with me and Sean in it. You can reach us at echoesdarkly@gmail.com. I've mentioned it a couple of times already. I want to keep pounding it in there because I keep forgetting to mention it. You can find all of our archived videos at this point on youtube.com/limeflavored. And once I get the new channel going, I am planning to import those videos over to official Lime Flavored to have them there in the future. That way I can remove them from my personal channel. We are live every other Saturday on YouTube and Google+. So those who are my friends on Google+ at this point will see this feed via Google+. If you want to become friends, it is officiallimeflavored@gmail.com is the email address of the other account, and you can do friend requests. And I will add anyone that wants to follow. That way you can watch them live on Google+ instead of YouTube. But for now, Sean should be with me on December 1st, 2100 Central, 2000 Mountain Time. Yes, I was trying to figure out what time zone he was in. But thank you for joining me, and we will see you and or hear from you next time. So send us feedback, we'll read it, and go from there. This is DJ Allen, echoing out.